Hello, lovely learneds. Welcome back to A Life Learned. I just tried to make this entire stream on another platform. It doesn't look like it worked, so I'm trying again. This is just a little live stream that I frankly don't expect anyone to show up to, but I wanted to do a little tiny celebration over the fact that the channel has turned 10 years old today. It's kind of a little bit of a mind warp to think that it's been a whole damn decade. Time flies when you're having fun. For those who have been around for a while, you know that the channel has been through a lot of changes. For those who haven't been here for a bit, believe it or not, the content used to be a little bit more engaging. I shouldn't shoot myself in the foot that way. You're here for a reason. I trust you subscribed for a good reason, and thank you, by the way. But I guess I more mean that I used to do in the beginning, in the first year and a half, 2 years. I was really, really dedicated. I was trying to make YouTube my career. And so I was scripting everything that I made. I was putting makeup on and doing very difficult lighting, quite frankly, because I had crap technology. I still do. I actually still have pictures of some of the like teetering light posts that I had at the time. It's a bit ridiculous, the setups, but I made it work. And I was really, really motivated to try and get meaningful content out to people and to try and, I guess, share my knowledge, my love for learning, as I say in my descriptions, while supporting myself. Didn't go so well, as you might have noticed from my vlog years ago where I said shitty being a poor YouTuber. Fun fact, hasn't changed. Um, yeah, so like the motivation kind of dropped off, both as I was noticing that people weren't picking up on my content quite as fast as I would have liked for it to be an income, and also like the whole court situation from my past abuse was coming to a head, and I just didn't have the mental wherewithal to keep driving at something that didn't feel like it was going anywhere. That's not to say that I stopped though. Obviously, I kept creating content. It's just I really fell off of the like super dedicated content where like fully scripted, face and makeup, the whole thing. And so one of the things I did to try and keep myself going, like still creating even without the ability to get past all those friction points, or activation energy points, as I like to call them, of like difficult things that just make me not want to do it. I dropped all those things, but still kept creating. So I set myself up so that I could do vlogs with my background, because in the past my vlogging background was just my bed, and then I used this background for my edited content where like I scripted it and everything. And so I switched that up because I could tell that I wasn't going to be able to get myself to do that edited content as often. I now actually intentionally have plain backgrounds for my edited content so that it's less distracting when I'm trying to just share like really educational, heavy stuff. But I still have my vlogging where I use this background because I just like still want to create without having all those things to be up against to have to do in order to create. So I just set myself up so I could basically just like turn on the camera and go. You know what I mean? Which hence some of my videos, especially my fibro vlogs, where I literally look like I just rolled out of bed because I did. For those vlogs in particular, that was kind of the point. But for a lot of others, like, I could have scripted it more. I had some pretty interesting things to say, or I could have done more research instead of just blabbing off about little bits I read or heard. But I just like was struggling so much with my mental health that it was like, either you put out this little bit or you don't put out anything at all. So in that way, in the middle of like around the 5-6 year mark, like things were really falling off. I was making, I think I want to say I made 6 videos in 2009. So that's like the 4 year mark. And that was probably the worst that it was. Like that's not even one video per month, right? But that being said, there's never been a year where I haven't put out at least a few videos, because I wanted to keep that creative bug somewhat alive, even if like we could barely feel its heartbeat at times. Like it was still there. You know what I mean? Um, and then I also took some time to sort of move away from my channel and go into schooling because well, I was trying to look for an income stream, quite frankly, and I thought maybe that was the answer. And I was also really going into like social work with a lot of the channel work I've been doing. So I was like, it just makes sense to further educate myself in that field. So I went and I got a diploma in social service work. Now I feel way more qualified to do some of the helping work that I've been doing through this channel. That's not to say that I think I necessarily caused any harm, but um, helpers without training can cause harm. That's just a fact, unfortunately. And if nothing else, you can just not be very helpful. Um, it's interesting how without training, you really don't quite understand what it means to teach someone how to fish, like with like social work type stuff. And instead, you tend to just fish for them a lot. Um, I think people who do this type of work will understand what I mean. Where like we just want to help. That's all we want. But without training, you don't realize how you're just doing for them and you're not helping them learn the skills that they're lacking to begin with, which is the biggest thing you can do to help a person is help them figure out how to help themselves. And that's not to say leave them on their own. That is literally to say help them figure it out, but don't do it for them to the degree that they are helpless when another situation comes around because there's always going to be more trouble. So anyway, neither here nor there. The point is that I then learned or realized that um, the kind of work that social service work, yeah, not social workers, social service workers. Those are two different things, just so you know. Like, there's lots of overlap, but the social workers are the ones who are giving you therapy, who are sitting in the hospital positions, who are like up in the high echelon social work positions. Social service workers are down on the ground, frontline workers, nose to the grindstone, doing the real work, dealing with the unhoused people, dealing with overdoses, like everything you name it that is like right up against the most difficult things in humanity. That's social service workers. Not to say social workers don't deal with that at all. They just do have roles that can be more removed and way better paying. So anyway, um, one thing after another, I ended up realizing that the field wasn't right for me either because I can't get high enough in the academics to get in a position that my mental health and physical health can handle, or with my current qualifications, anything I do qualify is just way too much for my disabilities, unfortunately. It's just so fucking intense, and I admire everyone in that field so much. We rely on them to keep our society together. And that being said, I'm not gonna put myself in a role that I am technically trained for, but not qualified for because I don't have the physical wherewithal to, like, do it, you know what I mean? You need to, like, have the energy for the work too, right? But that's not to say that I don't still believe in that community work and still do it in my little ways. That's where, I wanna take the channel basically is moving forward, um, I'm going to be trying to slowly figure out what it means to be an entrepreneur, and I'm gonna be opening myself up to basically offering a type of, like, counseling coaching. I don't quite know the right term I'm going for with it right now because I don't formally counsel you in, like, EMDR or parts work or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna do therapy, but I'm also not doing life coaching. I'm doing, like, I do, like, work that's kind of really in the middle of those 2. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna eventually be opening that up to an online platform for people to access through like Zoom or Skype or whatever. I'll certainly be open to in-person appointments if you happen to be within driving distance of me. But the online option is to open it up to the world. And on other fronts, news announcement, yay, we're going to be starting a Twitch. And I say by we're going to be, I already did like a year ago, but I never got around to like actually starting it. It's like, it's a whole other platform. There's some things to learn about it. And so I got to like Googling a little bit, but then I just got distracted being excessively overhelping with other people's lives, and I put all of my life stuff on hold. Oh, I'm so good at doing that. Um, and so I just never really got around to it. But I want to because I've seen some people have some really great conversations on there, but more than anything, I've got some cool games that I kind of really want to play with you guys. Disco Elysium in particular. I've heard some really great things about that, so that's the one we're gonna be starting with. And then, from there, there's a couple others. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I know, like, I really wanna play Stray sometime. I still haven't bought it, but it looks really fun. That to be clear, though, I'm not a big gamer. Like, my ex, or rather, my partner got me into, gaming, and, like, there's games here and there that I enjoy. I'm a fucking huge Minecrafter, but I won't call myself, like, a big Twitch watcher. I don't tend to watch people playing games very often, so not promising that I, like, know what I'm doing, am promising lots of ridiculous political commentary while playing it. So there's that. I'm also gonna be starting a Patreon, and my hope is that, off the hop, we'll be able to offer, my videos that I'm putting out, uh, ad-free as a starting point, but I still need to learn more about Patreon and what it means to give, Patreon subscribers perks and stuff like that. So, all still very much in the early stages, but the big thing here is that, unlike other YouTubers, instead of deciding that my 10-year anniversary is an opportunity to close things down and move in a different direction in life, I have decided to start things back up. I took a pretty significant break, I'd say, where I didn't, like, stop creating, but I stopped being serious about my creation. And so 2025 is where I wanna, like, put the marker in the sand, so to speak, be like, "All right, we're starting again. We're gonna be more serious about this. We're gonna figure out a way to both align with our moral and ethical values about capitalism being a pile of shit, while also, um, finding a way to take my skills and make an income so that maybe I could eventually get off the ODSP system, Ontario Disability, that'd be nice." Um, doesn't feel like it's ever gonna happen, but it's my dream to be able to support myself, through my skills and sharing them with people, and in that sense, I still wanna put out free content constantly, of course, but for those who feel like they have just, $2 to spare, $5 to spare a month, every little person adds up, and I've really seen that through the different fundraising campaigns I've done throughout, my life. I did a whole campaign to fundraise to help support a village in Fiji with people's pocket change, like, literally people's pennies, because they still existed at the time, loonies, toonies, dimes, nickels, and I just, like, gathered that up for months and months and months. It took a while, but the point is that that led to thousands of dollars that helped me do that work. So, every little bit does make a difference, and that's where I'm intimidated to hell, do not get me wrong. This I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, as someone who wanted to, like, go out and just, like, fare it on my own. I always thought of myself as someone who was all about that secure government job, just, like, "Give me the steady paycheck, tell me the exact thing you want me to do, I'll do the thing, I'll leave the office, I get the money, I do my own thing." Um but I was really naive when I used to believe that. I didn't realize that, you spend most of your fucking life in your workplace. And so if you're doing something that you don't believe in, that is maybe straight up unethical or immoral, harmful to other people, or just boring as fuck and, like, feels empty, it's not such a simple thing to just take your check and go home. Like, you're choosing to effectively, from my learning of life, you're wasting it because so many hours are going to something you do not like, you do not believe in, you do not want. And that's not to say that I don't understand that there's things in life that we have to do that we don't want to. Like, I don't want to brush my teeth sometimes, but I gotta. That's, you know, 2.5 minutes times two, that's 5 minutes out of a day. You're at work for a little bit more than 5 minutes, right? We're like 8 hours or more. And then all like the way that the world's gotten so that everybody needs to turn every hobby into a side hustle just to survive and pay their bills. Like, ugh. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like being poor. I don't. I, I'm miserable in so many different ways. But interestingly, I keep thinking it's a misery I'll choose. Like, I will choose poverty misery over wasting my life having no time to myself and doing spending my life's breath, sweat, and blood on someone else's gains, on some fucking billionaire, millionaire twat who's feels burdened to have to fairly compensate me for my time. Like, I just had a conversation the other day with a guy in the beer store briefly because I was just dropping off empties, but like he's going on about how dumb it is that the minimum wage keeps going up and how it's costing so much for small businesses. And I mean, I'm going on personally about like, fuck them, just like they should have to pay because I'm thinking corporations, but he's thinking small business. And he's like, where's the money going to come from? No, where's the money going to come from? And I'm like, the profits, obviously. And he's just like, well, like, how are small businesses supposed to survive this minimum wage bullshit? And like, when I get activated like that in public, I don't quite think things through, but I've thought over this conversation 1,000 times now. And I'm like, so badly wish that I had to said to him, so you think that a business owner should not have to fairly compensate their worker as the only means of actually functioning as a business, that things are too expensive because they have to fairly compensate people who are working to make their goals possible. Like, that doesn't track. He should be mad at the greedy landlord or at the frustrating hydro company for jacking prices. Like, don't blame your fellow worker for needing to survive, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Sorry, one second. My cat. May! Don't get a cat if you don't appreciate them eating everything they can get access to. Child. She has eaten 2 webcams on me, 2 keyboards, 1 set of speakers, a mouse. I've lost track of the number of cords. May! No! She's trying to eat my rice. She's going to open it up. 1 second. I need to stop my cat from eating rice. Then what do? What do you do when it dumps all over your head? Huh? What are you going to do when it dumps all over your head? This was not supposed to be part of the live stream. I'm so sorry. But anyways. Pets are fun. She's eaten a lot of other things, by the way. I have lost track of the number of freaking charging cords that cat has eaten. And she never stops. She never stops. The cord to a lamp right here, it's just like got little bites all the way through it. And I'm just like, one of these days it's going to be on and you're going to get through it and you're going to zap yourself. And then what? And then what? She's like a constant toddler, just always having to save her from killing herself. Having a cat. Anyways, now I'm just digressing. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the whole point of this vlog was to just say, woo, we're 10 years old. Woo, we did it. We didn't die. A lot of people stopped creating long before the 10-year mark. So in that sense, I almost got there, but I didn't. Kept going. Like, really degraded my content quality to do it, but I did it. And now I actually feel motivated to pick up the pace again and to try again and to go at it. So instead of doing what a lot of YouTubers do, where, I mean, when they're successful, they're like, oh, we're 10 years old now. Let's retire, do something else. I'm going to use the 10-year mark as a like, all right, let's like actually start. Give this another try. Maybe it'll go somewhere. I don't know how that'll work, but you don't know unless you try, right? So yeah, all in all, thank you for finding my channel if you've subbed. Thank you for sticking around. If you've been here for years, because as you know, there's been a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes still coming. But all in all, we're still very much the same thing. We have always been a space to share ideas, to share knowledge, to share love of learning, hence a life learned, right? And so we continue to be that. And if at any time you feel like this space is not welcoming to you, I hope you will share that with me. Hi, Velma. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll share that with me because I'm always open to feedback. And even though I like to think of myself as a humble person who is always thinking about being mindful of other people, shit goes over my head all the time. So like if I miss something and you think I need to pay a little bit more attention to it, always call me out, please, please, please. And otherwise, do subscribe to my Twitch, please. I will try to leave the link in the description below. I'm not sure if there will be like an after video. This is the first time I've done a live through YouTube, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be a description after And so I'm going to put the Twitch down there if that's possible. Otherwise, it's ALifeLearned. It's the same handle as everywhere. Um, do subscribe, please. Also, if you have any little bits of muns once I get the Patreon going, please subscribe to my Patreon too. Every little bit counts. But if not, just thank you so much for your views. I really appreciate your support. I appreciate your subscriptions, subscribing. Yes, I can English. And for just sticking around, this is, for me, this is a community of just people trying to be people, just like humanity existing amongst the chaos and finding each other and being like, "Do you see how crazy this is? I see how crazy this is. We agree this is nuts, but you know what? Life is joy. Let's go have fun." We'll get back to the crazy in a minute, and in that way, I don't ignore, as you might see from my recent videos, I've been getting very political, and very involved in my local community because I try not to ignore stuff, but I also recognize that we have to, frankly, pick and choose what we pay attention to as a means of wellness. It's important to stay aware of what's going on in your community. It's important to do as much as you can to be an active member of your local politics. But it's equally, if not even more important, to keep yourself alive and to keep yourself well. And if that means cherry picking what little bits of politics you participate in, I respect that. I have had to do that myself to keep my mental health in some state of manageability. Um, and at the same time, I want to challenge you to always try and be a little bit more accountable to what you're actually capable of. Sometimes things take a little bit of work. Sometimes it hurts a little. Sometimes it causes you just a bit of stress. But that bit of stress is worth it. It's more a measure of, will that stress push you over the edge of suicidal ideation? Because that matters, and you need to manage that. I'm always managing it, so I really respect that. And at the same time, you never know what you're capable of unless you try, right? Yeah. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Thank you for celebrating. Yay, we're 10 years. And I really do hope to see you on my Twitch, or if not, sometime soon, next week, next month, whenever we release again, to share a little something I've learned or experienced in life.